Making your English smoother. Master indirect questions. Hello learners. In today's video, we will be diving into the art of indirect questioning. This technique can be a game changer for your English conversations, making them smoother and more polite. Particularly, we'll focus on how to use indirect questions to soften requests and suggestions. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. An indirect question is a type of question that is embedded within another sentence. These questions can make your speech less abrupt and more polite. They are often used in formal situations, or when you're trying to be especially courteous. For example, instead of directly asking, "What time is it?" an indirect question would be, "Could you please tell me what time it is?" Notice how the latter seems more polite and less demanding. Now, let's dive deeper into using indirect questions to soften requests. This approach can help make your requests appear less direct and therefore, less commanding or rude. Imagine you're in a library and you want to borrow a pen. Instead of saying, "Give me a pen," you could say, "Would you happen to have a pen I could borrow?" This indirect question is much less demanding, and sounds more considerate. Here's another example. If you're in a cafe and you need the Wi-Fi password, instead of asking directly, "What is the Wi-Fi password?" you could use an indirect question like, "Could you tell me what the Wi-Fi password is, please?" Moving on, we can also use indirect questions to soften suggestions. This strategy is helpful when you want to give advice or suggest something without sounding too pushy or authoritative. Let's say your friend is planning a trip and you want to suggest a location. Instead of saying, "You should visit Paris," you could soften the suggestion by saying, "Have you considered visiting Paris?" Similarly, if you want to suggest your colleague to submit their project earlier, instead of saying, "Submit the project tomorrow," you could say, "What if you tried submitting the project tomorrow?" The latter is less authoritative and feels more like a suggestion rather than a demand. That wraps up our session on using indirect questions to soften requests and suggestions. With these techniques, you'll be able to make your English conversations sound smoother, more polite, and considerate. Practice these strategies until they become second nature. We're sure your conversation partners will appreciate the softening of your language. Until next time, happy learning!